welcome to the channel. This is TerraX, one of the developers of our web game TerraX, and this is a update video explaining our new update, patch 2.6. It's finally coming together and will release later this week. I'm recording this video just before we finally get things wrapped up, but this video will basically be covering all the new systems with our worker idle mechanics, where we've completely overhauled the game in terms of a new idle progression system. Traditionally in the game, uses as new players, but for new players and for existing players, this will explain what we came from and what we got now. Before, obviously, we had users would have to tap and mine resources to earn in this economy game and be able to earn resources and craft items that they can ultimately wear, equip, and trade to other players, right? As well as earn more income from the boss battle that is hosted every month in the game. But in this new update, we've now opted for an idle system where we have workers. Now essentially workers, as you can see here, are these slots on the map here, and traditionally, like forges and cookery stations, you can unlock more slots on the actual idle zones. You obviously got the harvesting area and the mine shafts and the dungeon, and the old PvP zone will be returning. It will just be within this, which I'll cover a little bit later. This is now the Workers Guild, and I'll actually take you guys through a little bit of a step process here to explain some of the systems. I'll cover mostly as harvesting and mine shafts in the dungeon idle gameplay and how it's changed. So let's click into the workers. So here we've got obviously a very nice card-based view and system. Here you can see all your workers that you would have unlocked. This is a little bit like a gacha based system. Every worker, once you have a summon pack, you can open it and it will roll, and basically based on the tier of the pack that you have, it will generate a completely RNG character with completely randomized stats and a randomized overall score. Note with actual workers is they all start at level 1, so each worker can actually individually be leveled up all the way to level 100, and it provides a lot more depth and actual meaning to having also more items, because each character can be used or either scrapped. That's another mechanic, is if you do end up generating a bunch of workers that you don't want to have, you can scrap them for a currency known as essence. This essence is a buyback currency which you can then use to buy back more workers, and obviously rinse and repeat. Now obviously going into it is we have 4 types of workers. We've got harvesting specialists, we've got mining specialists, and we've got the dungeon specialists, dungeon fighters, and a versatile. Now each character or worker is basically in their own regard good at what they do. So if I had to obviously open up, let's say, Ash Thornhand, you'll see that she's very good at harvesting and harvesting. Obviously that's what her work aspect is that she's going to be good at these. However, other things is you could deploy this to a dungeon if you wanted to, but it's not going to work out very well. Obviously the attack, defense, and HP are super minimal, and the character's going to die very quickly. Obviously you could offset it by equipping gear on the character if you wanted to, and this could prove for some interesting metas with people doing dungeon runs with a harvesting character or mining character. Now I'll take you through a little bit of the process of actually acquiring a character. So if I head over to my inventory, and let's try open some elites I've got over here already. Now when deciding a pack you want to do, we got different packs that you can choose from with different drop rates, obviously per pack. Now if I go summon, I'm going to summon a character. You're going to go through a traditional process. You're going to open the character box, it's going to do a roll, and then it's going to reveal the character. Remember, this is completely random, so completely random chances for every type of stat on the character itself. So opening up the character now, okay, I actually got a pretty decent one here. Her score for being a rare is pretty decent. is like in the 30s ranges, so she's actually top of her tier in terms of a rarity class over here. She's actually quite good. Obviously yield is 20%, speed, so speed, I'll go over some of these stats. As yield obviously gives you more resources when you assign the character. Speed, as a character, decreases the duration the character takes in that particular job during idle gameplay. So obviously if we summon again, maybe we'll try another character, let's see what we get. Okay, very nice. We got an epic. Now epic's obviously going to be a lot better. Very nice. So this character over here is quite interesting, is because we managed to roll 3 high stats on the character. A lot of the time it's just 2. So here we actually got a character that's pretty good at a couple things. Now another thing to note is with epics and legendaries, they get a unique trait. Unique traits allow the characters to do completely different things compared to anything below its rarity tier. So commons, uncommons and rares don't get a unique trait. And unique traits can range from getting a chance to get triple resources to reduce tool durability damage on the characters and a whole lot of other ones. You guys will have to open a couple and see for yourselves what you get. So now if I switch back, let's actually go to actually deploying a character and the process involved. So let's go over here to one of our characters. Let's see, we've got maybe someone who's good at harvesting. Let's take one of our new characters, I think it was this one, and we go over here. And obviously we got her here, she's pretty good. Let's actually look at her stats quickly. So harvest speed 40%, she's going to do the job 40% faster, and she's going to yield 26% more resources when obviously doing harvesting. This is for obviously gathering resources such as woods, saps, and obviously the odd chance to get baits, which you use in fishing. For any new users out there that don't understand. Now you see, because she was an epic, she got a unique ability, Nature's Bounty, 15% increased wood yield. So globally we get even more yield. So now if I just want to actually equip some things on her, let's have a look here. We could equip, obviously not a pickaxe because she's not going to be mining, but we've got a hatchet. And obviously this is a tier 2 hatchet, and I'm going to equip that on the character. Now once that's equipped, there we go. You'll notice also, just to keep track of what characters actually have equipment, you can see these little icons at the bottom here, track basically what is equipped. Now if I head over to actual map and I go into here, let's go into actual harvesting area. I have a third slot luckily available to me, so I'm going to go over here. We're going to deploy the worker and we're going to go choose her. Obviously you can see she's the character because she's ready, and you can see the tool that is equipped. Now we're going to deploy her to the forestry. Now basically how the idle gameplay works is, traditionally you would have trees that would RNG and players would have to tap and mine, and you would then, once you broke the tree, the next tree would appear, and you had a chance between a couple trees, between balsa, pine, blackwood and so forth into the higher tiers of wood. Now with how it works is you choose a grove. You can upgrade your grove and it costs resources. So if I wanted to go to the next deep woods where I could then unlock these new trees, which is pine and balsa. So right now in this one I only have balsa, so I would have to spend some time in the outer forest before I can progress to this one, and vice versa. Obviously higher tier resources take better tools, you need better workers, and it takes longer, and obviously the stats and everything scales as you progressively go through the different groves. And the same works for mining. You got mine shafts 1 through 4 as well. Now obviously I've got my tool equipped. I'm going to choose my expedition type. This is how much energy I'm going to technically use. So right now I'm going to choose a long expedition. You can see how long it's going to take. It's going to take 200 energy. Here's the resource cost. This is going to obviously take off of my character. And then here's the duration. But because I have these abilities and stats on the character, you can see my reduction already here. You can see through here how much XP I'm actually going to earn. you can hover over this and you can actually have a full breakdown, is that higher tier groves and also using boosted expeditions provide more XP for your character. So if you do want your character to level up quicker, and provided, I haven't got into that yet, but every 5th level, the character or worker, you can spend an upgrade point, which becomes available after every 5th level, and it randomly rolls a stat of the character with a higher weight to the character's native stats, so the ones that it's better at, and it has a chance to roll it between 1 and 10% every 5th level, so you can progressively make the character a lot stronger all the way to level 100. Now going into, obviously here we can see a nice preview. We're gonna harvest 75 trees. This is how much durability our weapon will take. This is how much we left on durability, and you can see estimated loot. And if you hover over it, you can see breakdown of what my base was. And because I also have a 26% yield and the unique trait Nature's Bounty, you can see I'm getting a lot more resources here just because I have a better character with a better trait. Now if I start the expedition, the character will go out and I can come back in 50 minutes and this will be done. Now I actually already have one lined up. Now I have one of my other workers which already completed the job, and you can see here, basically here are my rewards for this character. You can see also my character gained 3 levels, not quite to level 5, so I don't really have an upgrade point available yet, but this one took 3 hours and 45 minutes. Obviously you can reduce the time a lot even by gear. Obviously having a better hatchet with higher damage, you will mine trees quicker, thus reducing the actual duration of the expedition anyway. Now I'm going to claim my rewards. I'm going to get all of them. There we go. Perfect. They would have gone to my inventory, of which then I can head over to the processing tab. If I really wanted to, I could then craft into obviously any secondary, tertiary items within the game itself. Obviously I could go and turn the logs into planks and so forth. So now covering, obviously, let's go back to the map and I'll show you guys a little bit of a view of the actual mine shaft, which doesn't differ too much. It's exactly the same gameplay as harvesting. However, your character here will obviously gather raw resources like coal, copper, iron, silver, gold, adamantium, dragon glass, obviously. So obviously we've got a worker over here. He doesn't have a pickaxe. Not to worry, we can equip one through here. Obviously I got some high tier pickaxes. We'll choose a gold one for this. And there we go. Obviously I have some more shafts here, so I could select this shaft here which has iron, silver and copper. And I could choose for this expedition how long do I want to go. Now also note is the higher tier expeditions start requiring foods. So some will require herbs, some require fish, and some required some of the gathered items like carrots and mushrooms. So higher tier ones do differ as well. This allows for a nice resource sink in the game from people either doing fishing and maybe selling on the market their fished goods, allowing for users who like to mine or do other activities to buy that off the market and use it, or you could just go fish yourself and obviously fund these resource costs here. Now obviously I'm going to go for a boost and you can see all the resources I'm going to get here. This guy has a vein detector, which is a unique ability because he's an epic tier, and you can see here he reduces expedition time by 15%, and you can obviously see that stat appearing here on top of his base stat, which is actual mining speed minus 39 and the unique trait. I'm going to start him up here and you'll see he'll also go off into the world. Now there are some other nice new points here is for non-trial users, so pro users, you get a workers tab where you can actually see and monitor all your workers across your empire. This is your worker empire. You can speed them up, you can claim them and so forth. So other nice little neat details is here you'll be able to see your estimated value of items straight. This is obviously pinging the marketplace for all the last sold value of the items you have, and you can even hover here and see all the details about the resources you gathered. This just helps people actually understand what they got and the value at the end of the day, since this is a Web3 game and it has a working economy. That's the greatest part. Now, if we pop over here, you will see the dungeon. The dungeon has had numerous updates to it. Obviously here you've got, there's a guide, there's analytics, but the dungeon basically is a roguelike experience where you send out your character through numerous floors. This one's in motion. Let me switch to this guy over here. It's got dungeon difficulties, and each one increases the amount of floors, the amount of mobs that appear within the actual dungeon itself. However, how it works is every floor you get a decision to make when you complete it, with unique decisions that pop up like a typical roguelike. You could make a decision that either helps you on the next floor or kills you outright. You never know what you're going to get. However, here, let me start this off. So dungeoneering requires a backpack. And this is quite a cool mechanic because once you open this up, obviously you can see now everything opens up after I equip the backpack. Is you have to send your worker or dungeoneer out based on using provisions. So you can give him health potions, water. Water allows the guy or the worker to basically sustain himself through the dungeon. If he doesn't have enough water, he will run out and not be able to complete all the floors. Same with health potions. Is you could go in without health potions completely, but this will obviously hinder you in a chance where you may die, you may lose too much HP and ultimately die. This obviously helps mitigate death. Energy, taking energy, how it works is if you take your account's energy into your worker, sending him into an expedition, is you can use your energy for certain decision making during floors. You can choose not to, because there are optional decisions where you don't actually have to spend anything as well. Now, for me to actually preview, I need to equip a weapon, so let's give this guy a weapon. Now, I've given him a weapon now, so obviously it's a short sword, and you can see all my stats here on the character as well. Now I'm going to actually give him, this is where armor becomes quite useful, especially this gear. This is dungeon yield gear. You can craft this in the processing tab. Obviously I'm going to give him this because this will allow me to get more resources out of the dungeon. I'm actually I got the whole set here of the iron set, and I'm going to equip all of it now. We've got the gauntlets and the sabatons. There we go. Now obviously you can see all my stats have increased here. Obviously my armor value, because this all carries armor values as well, which also helps me survive longer because I take less damage. Obviously you can see my stash is completely full. If I wanted to take more things into the dungeon, I better get myself a better backpack, and there's a plethora of other backpacks I can use. Now if we go down here, you can see this is a scout report. This basically gives you a pre-calculated risk factor of what you're going to go in and where you may die. Obviously a 90% and a 70% means I quite possibly will die. Why I have a 90% higher chance here to die is because the 4th floor boss is harder than the 1st floor boss. Obviously it does scale and get harder when it repeats, but there's a higher chance to die here. Now obviously if I switch it to Nightmare, you're going to see my character is not even going to survive the 1st floor, basically. I would need a much better worker. I'd need a shield, I'd need at least a legendary weapon and at least epic gear to even maybe make it through a couple floors. Now to be provided is, you can see here in these tabs, is each floor costs more keys. You need a dungeon key or a couple dungeon keys to actually do the run. However, you can see the higher the difficulty, the more HP the mobs will have, but also the higher the loot chance. I go 3.2x on my loot chances here of drops. And obviously you can open up these tables and see what items you're going to get in the ranges of quantities, but also the chance that they're also going to drop. Obviously I'm not prepped for this floor, so I'm going to actually switch back to maybe an easy floor where I have pretty much 100% guaranteed chance of making it. Our character's kitted, let's give him some energy, and we're going to send him off into the dungeon. There we go. Now you can see here his stages. Obviously we're on the 1st, and he will then underway and do his thing. Now if we actually have a look at a character here who has finished a floor, you can see here here is my estimated items. Obviously he did the first floor, which I'm not really going to get much, but if we descend further, you can see the actual mobs he fought, and you can see the amount of XP he earned. So if we descend further, you will see now is I got a decision to make. Now this decision is I could cheat, 40% win 5 materials, 60% court heavy damage, lose 1 potion. This could hurt me later on, mainly because the potion loss is my character could use that potion to survive a later floor. Decline politely, goblins give 1 pity material. This is the safe choice, nothing's really going to happen to my character. Challenge the boss, 60% win 3 materials, 40% take damage. I don't know how much damage I'm going to take, so it's also risky. And dangerous, double or nothing. Wager 2 materials, 50% get 4 back, 50% lose them all. This was a very hard one, but obviously since I did the first floor, I didn't really get much, so I could do double or nothing. I'm feeling a little bit risky. So let's go with this and see what we get. Your choice has been resolved. The goblin's cackle has sweeping materials off the table. Nothing on. So I lost my materials basically. Okay, that's fine. We'll gather more. We got a lot more floors to get through, so we'll go through next. And obviously you can see here I'm obviously on the 2nd floor, and I will continue. You can see my stats. I've got 5 potions left, but obviously my resources have gone, unfortunately. But yeah, kind of closing it off now on this video is if you guys or any new players or existing players want to actually read a bit more in depth about the game's mechanics, as we've completely overhauled the guide. It's now called the Terrapedia. You can see all 158 articles across the game. This includes all the items, all the materials, and guides themselves to fishing, the workers, and so forth. This allows you also to see patch notes of what we've recently tweaked on weapons and tools, whatever they may be, and obviously read more. We've got a fully integrated guide now where you can actually see everything in a little bit more depth and a little bit easier to navigate compared to the older guide that used to live here. And if you guys feel really spicy and want to sit and read, because I know there's some people that absolutely adore lore, we have included a full lore document now of TerraX and the origin of it, setting the tone, the landscape, and the narrative of the story for what actually is TerraX and the world you all play in. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for watching this very informative video about TerraX. Cheers guys, till the next one.